Hi Aries, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. Hope you guys are having a good holiday season and new year. This is your 2026 year ahead overview. And the way it works is we'll look at each of the 12 houses of the zodiac. And we'll also pull an oracle card after that from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. And we're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have off to the right. As far as the main deck being used, we have the Tarot of the New Vision deck. Alright, so we'll get started. Okay, we have the Sun. So, of course, the sun's going to move through the entire zodiac, but this could just be saying maybe your season is going to be significant for you guys this year. But yeah, if not, could just be saying you might be feeling, in general, overall pretty energetic. Might feel like you just have a lot of creativity as well. All right, we have Virgo. So Virgo's your sixth house of work, health, daily routines. So it could just be saying you might have a lot of focus on that area of life this year. We still currently have the South Node moving through there. It'll eventually move into Leo later in the year, but could just be saying you might be going through some shifts around those areas of life as well. And yeah, speaking of which, we have sixth house here as well. So again, another indicator that there could be a lot going on there. And I mean, I will say, just looking at the card representing your sixth house, looks like you might feel a little overwhelmed around that area of life. So keep that in mind as we go through the main spread. In the first house, we have the King of Pentacles. So this is actually Taurus energy here. So this could just be saying that financially you might feel like things are going fairly well for you. You might feel like you're actually building wealth and just actually putting more energy toward doing so this year. And, as far as main energies going on in Taurus this year, we still have Uranus in there until around the end of April. And speaking of Taurus, with the second house energy, we have the Ace of Chalices. So for you guys, like I mentioned, we do have Uranus energy moving through there. And given that Ace energies could point to fresh opportunities, this could just be saying that maybe you'll get a new opportunity around finances this year. It could come suddenly too, again, like we said, considering that you do have Uranus in that time. But I feel like ultimately it's going to be an opportunity that you actually have some level of emotional connection to as well. All right. In the third house, we have Death. So this is the major arcana card for Scorpio. So to see this here could just be saying that maybe you won't be as communicative as you normally are. Maybe be a little bit more reserved, a little bit more selective about what you communicate, who you communicate with, things along those lines there. And this could also, if we look at the artwork too, could just be saying that maybe you'll start to associate less with these bigger traditional hierarchy types of structures this year too. All right, fourth house energy, we have the Five of Wands. So this is actually Leo energy here. And usually this points to an energy of competition, right? Could be combativeness, of course, to an extent as well. Usually it's not anything too heavy, but it is an annoyance at the very least. So given that fourth house energy, this points to home, roots, family. Could just be saying that maybe you'll find yourselves getting into little conflicts with family, possibly even just within your home environment in general. Doesn't like anything that you wouldn't be able to overcome, but again, might be at the very least a bit of an annoyance from time to time. All right, fifth house energy, we have the Ten of Wands. So this is Sagittarius energy here. So yeah, this could just be saying that when it comes to your creativity, there might be a certain level of heaviness to it. Now, on one hand, it could just be saying possibly because you're trying to take on too many things at once. So just be mindful of that. But this could also just be saying that you might be approaching the end of a cycle around your creativity as well. So maybe as you guys had Neptune moving through your 12th house, that might have given you a lot of creative visions, right? But actually carrying them out might have been more difficult. So now as it moves in your sign, you might be able to get it moving a little bit, but it still might feel like it's a little bit heavier than normal. All right, sixth house energy, we have the Nine of Wands. So like we mentioned, we saw Virgo come up with your dice. We well, with the Virgo symbolism and also with sixth house symbolism. And like I mentioned, we still have the South Node moving through there, so these could all be things pointing to just a certain feeling of heaviness around your work, your daily routines. Possibly feeling like, as soon as you clear one thing, there's something else to clear, right? So it just might be one of those things where you feel like you don't necessarily get a chance to take a break, right? To relax. So definitely looks like it could be a busy year for you guys in that regard. Maybe not always in a comfortable way. All right, seventh house energy, we have the Six of Swords. So at least it says to me that if there's any partnerships, relationships that you've been interacting with that maybe you want for your highest good, you might be actually distancing yourself from those this year. And now, people generally tend to think seventh house, they're thinking romantic relationships, which is part of it, but partnerships and contracts in general also symbolized by this house. So yeah, like I said, it looks like anything that you come to the realization isn't for your highest good this year, looks like you will be taking steps to leave that behind. All right. So in the eighth house, we have the Two of Pentacles, and this is actually Capricorn energy here. So yeah, this could just be saying that when it comes to your career, right, you might be trying to decide between two options for one. But not only that, too, could just be saying you might be trying to figure out how much to invest into that path, right? So do you want to give your all to this thing, or like, this might be more of a transitory thing, and I might want to move on from it at some point. Uh, a super generic, tangible way it could play out, right? It could just be saying maybe you're trying to decide how much to invest with the company, as far as how much do you want to contribute toward a 401k or things along those lines. But yeah, but for the most part, it looks like at the very least you will have options. It just could just be one of those things where you might have a little bit of difficulty making a decision. Right. In the ninth house, we have the Seven of Swords. So this is Aquarius energy here. And the main takeaway I would get from this in this context, given the house that it's representing, I feel like this is saying, just be on the lookout for misinformation reaching your ears this year. So this does take me back to, like we said, you'll have Neptune moving through your sign again. It was there briefly. It's mostly been in Pisces for a long time, but now it's going to be in your sign for an extended stay for quite a few years. So definitely something to watch out for with that, right? And what I'm getting primarily could just be saying that maybe you'll hear something, right? And it sounds like it's on the up and up, but then with time, you might realize that you weren't necessarily seeing the situation clearly. So I would say definitely take things you hear this year with a grain of salt. All right. In the 10th house, we have the Eight of Pentacles. So this is Virgo energy here. Again, like we said, that came up with the dice too. So seeing this here could just be saying that maybe you might be in a bit more of an apprenticeship role this year, or possibly even just doing things where you're actually going to go more of a self-taught route, maybe some entrepreneurial type things, for example. Now, given that we do see the King of Pentacles in your first house, looks like ultimately it will benefit you. I mean, if we look at the artwork there, right, we see it looks like they're chiseling a statue. So it could just be one of those things where it's going to say that. And then, we also see another person looks like they're crafting the actual pentacles, right? So to me, this says that whatever you will be working on this year will be long standing. So that's definitely the positive there. So to me, at least, that says that the work you will put in will pay off. All right. So in the 11th house, we have the King of Swords. So this is actually the natural ruler of the 11th house. This is Aquarius energy here. And seeing this, I feel like this is saying that ultimately, yeah, I'm getting like a fresh start energy again. So for some of you, like I was saying, you might be distancing yourselves from connections, whether it be business partnerships, romantic connections, you name it, that aren't in your highest good. And now here we actually see King of Swords energy. And if we look at the artwork, there's that baby behind the throne, right? So it could just be saying that, to me, that could represent the youthfulness and the newness of the connections that you might be bringing into your lives this year. So good. It looks like there will be some new connections coming your way for sure. All right. And in the 12th house, we have the King of Chalices. So this is actually Scorpio energy here. And to see this in the 12th house, I feel like this is saying you're going to have pretty strong intuition this year, maybe stronger than normal as well. And again, that could definitely point to Neptune, right? But as you're trying to navigate that energy, right? Again, because like we said, it's going to be in your sign for a long time. So you'll have some time to adjust and figure out what works, what doesn't. But I feel like this is saying you might be getting a lot more strong intuitive insights this year. And through doing so, it might actually make you want to isolate a little bit more than normal too. So yeah, like I said, it looks like there's definitely an energy of leaving things behind, right? Things that no longer serve you, getting involved in new groups, making new friends. But again, like I said, I feel like you're going to be more discerning and a little bit more withdrawn in general this year. But again, possibly because you're just putting more focus toward your finances. All right. And bottom of the deck, we have the Knight of Wands. So this is Sagittarius energy here. So I feel like this is saying, despite what we were just talking about, right, where you might feel a little bit more withdrawn this year, I feel like this is saying that you're going to be encouraged in ways to push yourselves out of your comfort zone too. Maybe go explore environments you've never been to before, things along those lines there. And again, right, super generic way that could be playing out, right? If your finances going very well, then yeah, maybe you have more resources to explore more, right? Take this big exotic vacation that maybe you couldn't do before if you didn't have the finances for it, right? So it's definitely a more positive way it could be playing out. But yeah, I feel like this is saying, try to be open minded this year. And again, like we said, especially given that Seven of Swords in the ninth house, the perfect balance is going to be open minded, but still discerning, right? So, take the information in, but take it with a grain of salt, right? Really feel it out and see does it really seem to fit or not. But we'll see what the Oracle card adds to the mix. So like I mentioned, we're going to pull a card from the Wisdom Oracle deck. So I'm just going to give this a few shuffles first. All right, and what we'll do is we'll actually cut the deck and pull a card. So take this card here. Let me get this out of the way. And we'll see what you guys got. All right, we have Observer. So yeah, I mean, that kind of goes along, well, at least at face value, right, with what I was saying, where I have the feeling that you're being called to be open to new information, right? Open to looking at things from a new perspective, but again, like I said, still being discerning around the information you get, right? So it could be good to bring new information in, but you don't necessarily have to take it as the gospel right away either. But we'll see what the actual book says. All right, Central Meanings says perspective, objectivity, neutral observation from a distance. The Oracle's message: most people see the world through a personal lens. They closely identify with their feelings and experiences, so much so that they come to believe that these are the only reality. There are times when you need distance in order to gain perspective and understand your circumstances from a more neutral vantage point. Now is one of those times in your life. This is a perfect moment for you to begin to do some exploring. Instead of only considering yourself, consider what you need to understand about the conditions, people, culture, and environment you've engaged with now. You'll be so happy you did. Illumination is the miracle you seek and will indeed find. So yeah, that definitely seems to call back to the Knight of Wands energy we see at the bottom of the deck there. Hopefully that resonated. The relationship message says, sometimes you just can't see the forest for the trees in your way. Feelings can get all jumbled up, and often you hear one thing when a person says another. It can be like an echo of an unresolved past experience dubbed over your conversation. Take time out before you react. It's likely the other person has no idea how his or her words have affected you. Take a few steps back and lend understanding to the situation. Have faith in your connection and trust that you can come together. Take to higher ground now and cultivate curiosity about what you observe in yourself and others and in the landscape. You will find things much improved sooner than you know. So yeah, that sentence about can't see the forest for the trees in your way definitely makes me think of the visual representation we see with the Ten of Wands, right? Where it looks like they're holding those wands in front of their face, can't even necessarily see their pathway forward. And fifth house energy can point to romance, so there could definitely be a connection with that. So hopefully that message resonated. And for the prosperity message, it says, it is an advantageous time for you to get some distance from what you're doing and see your work and your projects from a different perspective. The trick is to connect to the essence of your goals and aspirations while letting the form and timing be dictated by spirit. You may be too personally attached to an outcome and unable to see the miracle because it's not turning out exactly as you planned. Trust spirit. The perfect version of your abundance is right in front of you. Remain neutral and curious and watch the miracle unfold. So yeah, like I said, it definitely looks like at times you might feel a little bit overwhelmed when it comes to your work, your daily routines, right? Like I said, with the Ten of Pentacles thing here, it looks like what you will work on will be long-standing, but you just might need to find that right balance. So hopefully that resonated with you guys. Once again, hope you're having a good holiday season and New Year. Bye.